meeting of the Rollsville Planning Board to order. Welcome, everybody. First thing up for the evening, in order to account for everybody during the virtual meeting, we have to do roll call attendance. Starting with Commissioner Frank Pierce. Are you present?
Present.
Mr. Schwartz.
Present.
And Commissioner Pryor is not with us quite yet. She's running late and will join us in a little bit, hopefully. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm here.
Commissioner Cross.
Present.
And Co-Chairman, Mr. Moss.
Present.
And I am Mark Powers, current chairman, also present. Next item up is approval of the January 25th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, Frank Pierce, I make a motion we approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Mr. Pierce to approve the minutes with no corrections. Is there a second?
This is Mike Moss. I second.
We have a second from Mr. Moss. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify with an aye when I call your name. Mr. Cross.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Mr. Moss.
Aye.
I am not seeing Commissioner Pryor yet. Commissioner Schwartz.
Aye.
Mr. Pierce.
Aye.
I also vote aye. The minutes are approved. Moving on to the meat of this evening's meeting. Case MA 20-04, 2005 and 2033 Waite Avenue. Proposed rezoning for residential R3 CZ. And Julie, is this one yours?
It is. So good evening. As we were just told by Mr. Chairman Powers that this is rezoning case map amendment 20-04 for 2005 and 2033 Waite Avenue. We did receive public comments. They were distributed to you today in your packets. They were sent by email after we compiled them, and we printed them off for those of you who are not able to print them off at home. So we did deliver those to you as well. The cutoff today was 3 p.m. We did have one comment that did make the cutoff just a little bit late. By the time we pulled the comments, we had received it, so we included it with the comments. The comments, since they are before you, will not be read aloud tonight during the meeting. However, if you have any questions on the comments, please feel free to talk about them. Just in the interest of time, there was 36 pages once they were all printed out, so we are not going to read them, but you do have them to refer back to you during the meeting, and we are ready to discuss any points that you would like to bring up from those comments. No comments were received in favor of the development. We did receive comments in opposition of the development. So we received 2 comments from Dr. J.D. Steelman, 3 comments received from Liz May, 4 comments received from Mr. and Mrs., and I'm going to mispronounce this name, I think it's Kershoff, and 2 comments received from Mr. and Mrs. Matthews, and 1 comment received from Ms. Elizabeth Henley. This is the vicinity map to give you an idea of the area we will be talking about tonight. 2005 and 2033 Waite Avenue are outlined in red. The yellow line that you see is the annexation agreement with Wake Forest. This annexation agreement has expired. It is in the process of being re-administered. There is some line changes, but not in the current area that would affect the parcels 2005 and 2033. So what you see is the parcels in red, and then across the street, you will see that our zoning is contiguous. So the next map shows you the existing zoning and the future land use maps. The existing zoning across the street is Town of Rolesville, R and PUD. There is currently a special use permit that has been approved for that R and PUD for the Thales development. Thales Academy is going to be on this corner right here, and then the residential and commercial are going to be on these parcels here. On the right-hand side of the map, you see the future land use map, and the future land use map has these areas identified as the medium density residential. The green hatching to the left is the Wake Forest town limits. Current land use and existing conditions are this, the current use for the two parcels is single family uses. They are located outside the town limits and outside the ETJ. They are within the annex agreement boundary and the USA, which is the urban service area. And the annex agreement will be renewed in the near future, and the survey process has begun. The annexation regulations for the state of North Carolina require that if it's a contiguous versus a satellite annexation, whichever parcels are closest to the existing corporate limits, that jurisdiction has right to annex, and that is what is happening for this annexation request. So the annexation request is running concurrently with this rezoning request, because once the annexation is approved, we have to rezone those parcels. So this petition runs concurrently so that there is a rezoning within that annexation if it is approved. So the current land use and existing conditions on the surrounding parcels, they are county zoned highway district, residential R30, and on the Rolesville side, they are zoned Rolesville residential PUD, planned unit development. The current planned unit development has 140 lots, both single family and townhomes. That was with special use permit 18-01. And there is currently an amendment on the case books going through the process to have that submitted. They have submitted to increase to about 200 lots for single family and townhomes. Continuing on the current land use and existing conditions, we've already talked a little bit about the annexation petition and how the rezoning is running concurrently, and that the concept plan has been included to facilitate the review of this case so that you know what they are proposing on site. As we discussed, the annexation is contiguous, and as the corporate limits are directly across the street of Waite Avenue, that is where we get the contiguous annexation. And the public hearing for the annexation will be the time to address town services such as the additional resources for fire, police services, garbage pickup. That is the time when the Board of Commissioners looks at the town services, looks at what we can provide, and that is part of the annexation process, not part of the rezoning process. The public hearing for the annexation will be followed the public hearing for the rezoning. So if the Board of Commissioners denies the annexation, then the rezoning case will be pulled from the agenda. We can't rezone something that we don't have in the corporate limits. If the Board of Commissioners approves the annexation, then the rezoning case will move forward on the agenda. The petition is to rezone to R3CZ, which is conditional zoning. However, the board may recommend zoning to another district with the consistency statement. So if you feel that there is something else that you think would be more consistent with the surrounding area, you can propose that rather than going with the application or the petition that you have before you tonight. So when we get to that time to suggest a motion, if you would like to do something other than the petition in front of you, please double check the suggested motion, as that will need to be changed, and then you will need to change the consistency statement that goes with it. The intent of the R3 district, it is established as a principal use of the land for high-density, pedestrian-friendly residential purposes. And the regulations of the district are intended to discourage, sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. Let's try that again. The regulations of this district are intended to discourage any use which, because of its character, would be a nuisance to the development of residences and would be detrimental to the quiet residential nature of the areas included in this district. R3 developments are restricted to 15 acres for townhomes and multifamily. The request is 12.43 acres. R3 townhomes are restricted to 8 units an acre for density and 8 units per structure. So you can have 8 units per building and 8 units per acre. The neighborhood meeting was held virtually due to COVID-19 restrictions. The meeting minutes and attendance to those meetings are included in the packet that you received for the agenda, along with the concept plan that was submitted. And as the meeting was held by the developer, they will answer any questions about the meeting. They are on tonight. You've previously met John Frazier and Jim Allen, but they are with us tonight so that they can answer any questions for you. And I will turn the floor over to John as soon as the staff presentation is finished. So the comprehensive plan is where we house the future land use map. And the future land use map does not include these parcels along Waite Avenue. The parcels just south on Waite Avenue are included as medium density residential, which is the orange that we saw in the map previously. If the board recommends approval, the consistency statement will address the amendment to the comprehensive plan. If the board recommends denial, the consistency statement will state why the proposal for the requested rezoning is inconsistent. The 2002 thoroughfare plan calls for this area to be a 4-lane landscape median along Waite Avenue. The proposed CTP, which you'll be hearing about next week at our 22nd regularly scheduled meeting, is a 4-lane divided raised narrow median with curb and gutter and the side path. And this matches Wake Forest transportation plan for continuity during the CTP recommendations and background checks. We talked with Wake Forest and made sure that our plans matched up so that there would be continuous movement along 98. The comprehensive bicycle plan did not include the area for the recommendations, and the Main Street plan did not include a scope of analysis that covered this area, being that it was more of the Main Street plan. Only the town of Rollsville plans were compared for the staff report. We did not pull in plans from the Wake County or from the Northeast area study because those plans do not govern our area for rezoning cases. They are plans that we use for regional jurisdiction to make sure that all our plans are aligning and that we're on the same page for our future development and future purposes. The last time the Northeast area study was done was about, I think, 7 or 8 years ago. And it is currently being revisited right now with the final draft being presented actually next week for the new Northeast area study update. Wake County is currently undergoing their new Wake plan. It's called Plan Wake, actually, and that also contains updates to the areas, and the Rollsville staff, particularly Danny, has been involved in making sure our plans and future plans are incorporated into those documents. But our documents that the town approves is what we use to establish growth for Rollsville. So our comprehensive plan, the 2017 plan, and our bicycle plans and our other plans and policies are what we use to make sure that a development is considered consistent and safe and in the best interest of the citizens of our area. The rezoning process may consider harmony with the surrounding areas, so that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. A traffic impact analysis was not required for the development as it will add less than 100 trips per peak hour and it will add less than 1,000 daily trips. So it does not trigger a full TIA because it is lower than those thresholds. So planning staff finds the request reasonable in the public interest and as amended will be consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. And we recommend approval of MA 20-04. Again, I've underlined as amended because we will have to amend the comprehensive plan to include this area as it is currently not within the study area because it was not part of the corporate limits when the study was conducted. And with that, I will turn it over to John, unless you have any questions for me specifically about that. You might want to hear from John first and then ask all our questions together. Whatever I didn't go over, John might go over in his presentation.
Mr. This is Mike, where John gets started and before the discussion. I'm the surveyor of record on this project. I'd like to ask to be excused from the discussion and voting on this project.
Okay, Commissioner Moss is asking to be recused from this one. We need a motion in order to move in that direction. So if we could have
I
a
motion, this is Mr. Cross, I motion that Commissioner Moss be recused from this vote.
We have motion in favor. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second. This is Donnie Lawrence.
Donnie wins.
We have motion and a second. All those in favor, Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Aye.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Aye.
Commissioner Cross,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. So Mr. Moss is recused for this one. Julie, please feel free to hand the presentation over and continue.
All right, great, thank you. John, would you like me to keep on sharing my screen as we did last time, or would you like sharing permission?
I'm okay with you sharing if that's okay with you.
Okay, that's fine. All right, John, it's all yours.
Great. Thanks very much. Good evening, planning board members, planning commission members. My name is John Frazier. I'm the civil engineer on the project with FLM Engineering. And I also have with me Jim Allen, who's representing the developer for the project. Julie did a great job, so I'll just follow up with some brief remarks, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. As Julie mentioned, the current zoning for these parcels is Wake County Highway District, and we are proposing to rezone it to the R3 district. The Highway District allows townhouses, apartments, condos, daycare, gas stations, just to name a few. And the R3 district allows dwelling multifamily and just a handful of other uses. So we felt like it was a compatible zoning and also limits some of the other commercial uses that are in the Wake County HD district. And as Julie already mentioned, we're required to annex into the town because of the agreement, the annexation agreement with Wake Forest, and because we're in the urban services area. So we're kind of following the steps that we know to follow for annexation and rezoning for this particular property. Leading up to the planning board meeting, we had a neighborhood meeting, as Julie mentioned, and you all have the meeting summary, I believe. That meeting was held on February 11th, and we had 4 neighbors in attendance. And the neighbors had questions and some concerns for us, and I'll just summarize kind of the main concerns that we heard at that meeting. One being privacy along the perimeter for all the neighbors that were adjacent. We understood that to be a concern that they would like to see addressed. We also heard from the neighbor to the west, Mr. Steelman, or Dr. Steelman, that drainage to his property was a concern for him. And we heard some concerns about traffic, and then some concerns about rock blasting and kind of the timing of allowing rock blasting. So what we did to address those concerns is we added a couple of zoning conditions. Our first condition addresses the privacy, and we're proposing either a 5-foot tall landscape perimeter berm or a 6-foot opaque fence around the perimeter to provide privacy for the adjacent owners. And the second condition just addresses timing associated with the with construction activities and with rock blasting. I believe the town's current noise ordinance allows construction activities to begin at 7 a.m. So we're proposing an 8 a.m. start to construction activities. And then we just reiterated the town's requirements for rock blasting, which start later than your typical construction activities. So we're offering those to address the concerns with construction noise and rock blasting noise. And then traffic, although we're not required to do a traffic study, we understand that NCDOT will require us to install left turn lanes into the development. So that will help move traffic off of the road as folks are turning left into the development. And DOT may require some other improvements from us, but as of now, we're only aware of the left turn lane. And we also understand that with some of the other developments in the area, such as the Thales Academy and some of the larger developments, they will likely be required to make improvements, which will hopefully improve the traffic in the area. And then for the drainage, I noted to Dr. Steelman that we will be required to adhere to Wake County stormwater requirements when we develop the site, when we prepare our site plans. And those requirements will prevent us from discharging any runoff off-site. We'll be required to take that runoff and detain and treat it on our site. So we will adhere to Wake County stormwater requirements we're developing, which should hopefully eliminate the current drainage concerns that they're experiencing on their lot. And then Julie provided me with the comments from the neighbors, and I'll just briefly touch on a few concerns that I saw in there. I know Dr. Steelman mentioned that there's a Wake Electric easement along the western boundary of the property and a shared driveway, and we would certainly protect and preserve that driveway of theirs, and there's no intent to remove that driveway or anything of that nature. And we'll comply with Wake Electric when working in and around the power easement. So we'll definitely account for those items as we move forward. I know there were some questions about is it in line with the zoning? And I mentioned that we felt like it was a compatible zoning to the Wake County HD zoning. And we understand that it's cut off from the rest of the town, but again, we're following this process because of the town's annexation agreement. And then most of the other concerns that we saw, we felt like would be addressed to the site plan, but we'll certainly adhere to all the town's requirements for perimeter buffers and design of the site itself when that time comes. I know there's some questions about trees and will trees be preserved? Julie, I think if you can see in the small picture there, the aerial image, the western portion of the site is generally cleared, and then the eastern portion has trees. And on our concept plan, we're anticipating providing some open space on that northeastern corner and would preserve in our perimeter buffers as much existing vegetation as practical. And if existing vegetation is removed in those areas, then we will replant those buffers per the town's requirements, along with the proposed fence or 5-foot berm. And as of now, we are anticipating on having 2 entrances into the site. I think that would be our preference, but again, that will be up to DOT and what they'll allow as part of the driveway permitting for the site. I think those are the main points that I wanted to hit, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And as I mentioned, Jim Allen is on as well and can help us answer some questions that you may have. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Opening up for board discussion, questions, comments.
This is Donnie Lawrence. I just wanted to bring up that, we talked about having two entrance, two means of egress and exit out of this property. I think that was mentioned. One of the residents lived nearby. That was their concerns for emergencies such as fire or EMS incidents. And I just wanted to clarify with the developers that that's still on the plan to have two entrances in and out of this complex.
That is correct. That's the current plan.
Okay. I know we talked also about the townhomes. Like I said, it seems like we definitely have a lot of townhomes going on in Roseville, becoming the town of townhomes. But the last time was Longmont Drive was townhomes, and I believe that is not townhomes. Longmont, that's actually single family homes across the street on Longmont Drive. I just wanted to try to clarify that also, that's not town.
Yes, sir. That's correct, Mr. Lawrence. That there are, I think that there are townhomes on Austin View Boulevard, which is a little further into the development. So I think there was just a miscommunication as to the road name there. But you're correct. Longmont Drive is single family homes.
Austin View is the name of the street that has the townhomes, and there are 57 of them.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. So was this development initially supposed to be single family homes?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't. All right. So how many single family homes are in there?
Are you referring to Austin Creek? Mr.
I am.
Medley?
Austin Creek is both. Austin Creek has actually two types of single family and townhomes. The townhomes are on Austin View. It's quite a large neighborhood, and it has two different sizes of single family and one size of townhomes.
Okay.
And the townhomes are 22 footers, which are pretty much the same thing that we're proposing. And they're on Austin View Avenue.
Thank you.
This question's probably more for Julie than anything. If this project moves forward, considering how far along the town is with the new transportation plan, how would the amendment process work to include this new neighborhood?
Great question. So current 2002 thoroughfare plan calls for a 4-lane median road. The CTP that is getting ready to go through the planning board process next week, and then the public hearing process in April, has the area as a 4-lane narrow median curb and gutter with side path. So whatever is on the books at the time they come through for their TRC plans is what they'll have to be going under. So it's still going to be a 4-lane, whether it's a median or a narrow median, and it would require the curb and gutter and the side path rather than the sidewalks that are current. So it would be whatever is on the books at the time. If they make a different recommendation during the CTP process for the public hearing on April 6th, then it will be something different. If they take the recommendation that we are putting forward for that 4-lane narrow median curb and gutter side path, then that is what will be updated for the new requirements as they go forward.
Thank you.
Just one other question also on the traffic. I know the Highway 98 road widening that was discussed for the last several years has been postponed by many years, it looks like. So on Wade Avenue in front of this property, are we going to have a turning lane coming from Wake Forest and also a turning lane coming from, say, Averitt Road or Highway 96 to turn left and right into this neighborhood with a turn lane in the middle so Highway 98 traffic can continue to flow?
We would rely on NCDOT to help us with the site ingress and egress as part of the TRC comments for the site plan. So the 4-lane would be the 4-lane with the narrow median, and then as the ingress and egress on site, we would rely on NCDOT to help us with the placement and the turning movements for that, which is why they are on our technical review committee and sit on our review processes to help with those transportation movements.
So I guess the developers are gonna wait for the recommendation at that time from
Yeah,
NCDOT.
Well, we'll see what it gets approved for the CTP on April 6th, and then we'll move forward with the site plan process and review with NCDOT as part of their site plan.
Yeah, and Mr. Lawrence, we are reaching out to DOT in the meantime to try to get a understanding a little bit ahead of time as to what their requirements may be. But as Julie mentioned, you know, we'll certainly get their input during the TRC process as well.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments? Commissioner Cross, Commissioner Schwartz, Mr. Pierce?
No, I think we talked some before now concerning the fence. I think it was a general opinion that we prefer the fence instead of the berm.
And we're willing to change that condition to eliminate the berm if that's the wishes of the board. We're happy to make that change, Mr. Pierce.
Okay, thank you.
Those were some of
One
my
more
concerns as
question
well.
on the, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That was my concerns as well as far as the berm versus fencing. So thank you, Commissioner Pierce, for bringing that up.
And so I guess one thing on the berm and the fencing and so on, have you discussed this with the 9 residents of Carrie May Lane just to see how this is going to affect them and what they would like to see and what you would be able to provide? Has anybody talked to them?
They expressed at the neighborhood meeting a preference for the fence, and we thought that a berm with landscaping would also provide privacy. But again, given that seems to be the strong preference, we're happy to go to just a fence. And we did provide them with our conditions as well as the meeting summary after the meeting, the same information that you all have, and did not hear any more from them on that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this is Commissioner Cross again. That was what I wanted to ask about the fence. I know we're getting really further into the future of this, but the size and height of the fence, I wasn't sure if that was under what kind of regulation or if that's a preference for the homeowners that are adjacent to the property. I guess we can address that a little bit later. How high will that fence be?
Well, our condition currently states a 6-foot opaque fence, so a 6-foot fence that you cannot see through. And then we would, in addition to that, have to meet the town's landscaping requirements within the buffer as well. So there'd be vegetation there as well as the fence.
Fantastic. And again, wasn't sure as far as what type of material who will be maintaining that fence.
I don't know if we have not specified a material, but it would be opaque per the condition we've provided.
We'll table that for discussion as once you break ground. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We would actually, if it's, we actually want the fence to be decorative and attractive. So we will, maybe when we present the subdivision plan, we could provide some examples of fencing.
And speaking, just to kind of segue away from the fence a little bit, we're not connecting the two properties, right? I cannot see the map very well, but the one that's right next to it, is it Wind Stone Park off of, what is that? Maylin Road? I can't.
So
hang on.
Carrie May Lane.
Carrie May Lane. We're not connecting those two using any any roadways, correct? There's no way to connect them, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Cross.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And those properties are located in the county. They aren't in either of the municipalities. They're 1 acre well and septic home sites.
Okay, just now looking at the map, there is probably no way to have connected them anyways. Okay, good.
Yeah, and there's 6, it shows 9 lots, but there are actually only 6 residents.
Frank Pierce here, one more question about the maintenance or upkeep of the fence down the road is, how would that be handled?
The HOA, we're obviously going to collect homeowners association dues, and we would turn those over to the HOA to manage.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say PPM was going to be the management agency for this development?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, Michelle, because they are actually the manager. We developed Tryon, which is just north of Carrie May, and also Kings Glen, which is on the other side of Carrie May.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those we're currently using PPM as the management companies there, and they have expressed an interest in doing this one as well. Since it's not approved, we haven't hired them yet, but we plan to.
Okay.
And unless there's someone that, you know.
I like PPM myself. I was just asking. I didn't know if it was you or another developer that came in and mentioned that, but PPM is
yeah, that I think we
very
did talk about. I think we did. I think we did. I think you're correct.
Okay.
Well, if there's no more discussion or questions, the floor is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Frank Pierce here. I would like to make the motion if I can.
Please do.
I move we recommend approval of MA 20-04 to the Town Board of Commissioners to rezone 2005 and 2033 Wake Avenue from Wake County HD zoning district to Roseville Residential R3-CZ and amend the town's comprehensive plan and future land use map to identify this area medium density residential consistent with the surrounding land use. This petition is reasonable and in the public interest. And I also would note that this is an application for voluntary annexation and not forced annexation.
Just to clarify, this would be zoning in the event that the town board approves the voluntary annexation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion from Commissioner Pierce to recommend approval of MA 20-04. Is there a second?
I'll second that. This is Commissioner Schwartz.
We have a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Going down, roll call. Commissioner Pierce, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Aye.
Commissioner Cross.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. It is unanimous with those available to vote who aren't recused. Thank you, everybody. And special thank you to Julie for pulling up the parcel map and zooming in. It definitely helps understanding. Next item on the agenda is Planning Director's report.
Well, I'll be brief. Just as a recap, as you know, the text zoning map amendment for the town center has been approved by the town and it's now adopted, as well as the text amendment to remove some of the similar that were contained in the town center district out of the town center overlay. That has been adopted. The other text amendment you had from the January meeting was changing all of the special use districts that are on the books and on the official zoning map to be changed the label to conditional zoning as results of the requirements of the new 160D or legislation by the General Assembly that's now into effect that you can no longer have special use zoning districts. So that legislation requires relabeling all of those to conditional zoning, and that was the act that the text amendment did that you recommended, and that was approved by the board earlier this month. So that's all I have. You also have the development activity report with the building permit activity. If you got any questions, we'll be glad to answer. But that's all I have.
Thank you. Item number 5, Town Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very quickly, please keep getting your comments regarding the draft land development ordinance into Julie. She is collecting those, and having more eyes on the LDO is very helpful as there's many pages to go through. And also, just as a heads up, to the extent this is of interest to the planning board, the North Carolina Municipal Attorneys Association, together with the League of Municipalities, is making a push with the General Assembly for there to be some changes made to the procedure for electronic meetings such as this one, to try to add some simplicity to that, particularly with regard to when a meeting constitutes an electronic meeting. This one obviously is no doubt. But sometimes we have a situation where most of the board members have gathered in a physical location. The public is in attendance, but if one board member, either a planning board member, a member of the Board of Commissioners, would like to participate remotely, as the legislation was adopted for the COVID-19 response, even just having one person coming in remotely triggers the additional requirements of an electronic meeting. And so we're hoping to get that cleaned up a little bit with some compromise. I understand that's a difficult lobbying effort, and we're up against a big agenda by the General Assembly with many bills to consider, but I wanted to give you a heads up that that is an item being worked on.
Thank you. Any other business? Item number 6.
I have something.
Please.
As you all know, Danny is leaving us to go on to his happy retirement. This is his last planning board meeting with us. So if you would like to say a few words to Danny, now would be a very good time to go on record to thank him for his years of service in planning and for the planning service he has done for the town of Rollsville. So I'll go first. He's only been my boss for about 9 months. He has been a terrific boss. He's been a great mentor, and I will miss him greatly. The town has been blessed to have you, and we are sad to see you go.
I guess I will go next. Sorry, Commissioner Medley. I think you'll have another chance.
I know, I'm not saying anything. I'm just
Okay.
listening to it all. You're good.
Danny, I personally want to say thank you. It has been a pleasure and an honor working with you. And I've had the opportunity not just to see your good work here, but also through my employment, see some of the good things that you did with your previous town. And that I do have to say that some of your prior coworkers remembered you fondly when I was down there for a meeting a year or so after you started here. So I think there are going to be a lot of people in Wake County who miss seeing you as part of this community.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it, Pat.
Next, Commissioner Medley.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just
Okay.
sitting, but I want to see who's going to make him cry first. Then I'll say something. So we're good. I'll catch him at the commissioners meeting. But
I still got 9 more working days here, so you got time still to torture me a
Okay.
little bit. But it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure working. This has been y'all have been a very good, outstanding planning board. You've done really good work. I highly recommend and commend you for the accomplishments that we've done together in the past 4 years. And if you think back to when I first came here, roles was changed a lot. And a lot of things have moved forward tremendously in a very positive note, and great opportunities and challenges have, I think, is going to see a very outstanding community very soon. You're already outstanding, but I think you're going to see more advancements and achievements that you didn't realize 4 years ago. So thank you for your comments and wish everybody good luck.
Well, thank you.
And Danny, this is
Mr.
Don.
Johnson.
I just want to tell you the same, kind of reiterate what everybody else saying. Thanks for everything you've done. And I guess I'll just say Julie and Shelley have some shoes to fill with you leaving, so I know they're going to be busy. But thanks for everything you've done.
Yep. I just wanted to echo that as well. As being one of the newer members of the planning board, I wanted to thank you personally for taking the time to address my questions. As I always start off with, it's just my edification. So thank you so much for addressing those questions and guiding me personally through the process here as being a planning board member. So thank you very much, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Danny, this is Mike. I just wanted to wish you good luck as well. I know we probably first passed back when your Granville County days.
Oh, yes.
Lands
Way back
there.
there.
It has quite a while. Retirement.
Thank you, Mike.
I can't second it or third it or fourth it enough, Danny. I appreciate all your efforts for the town and the board, helping us out, guiding us through a lot of the different rules and changes, and then getting that change the UDA, some big changes you helped guide along. So I do thank you for all that work.
Thank you, Jim.
Frank Pierce here, Danny. I want to say thanks again. You've done a whole lot for us, and we appreciate it.
And you're one of the long-standing members on the planning board, so your compliment is very appreciated. You dealt with a lot of planners here.
Well, all of them have been good.
Well, if there are no other comments, moving on to item number 7 with a fond farewell for Danny. Agenda item number 7, adjournment, is on the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
Mr. Cross, I second that motion.
We have a second from Mr. Cross. Commissioner Pierce, how do you vote for adjournment?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Aye.
Commissioner Moss?
Aye.
Commissioner Cross?
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Aye.
I also vote aye. We are adjourned. Farewell, Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good
Take care.
night.
Thank you, everyone.